Hey, what's up? My name is Rob, and I am the author of Maschine, the hip-hop beatmaker's missing manual. And today I want to talk about something that is incredibly important. So when you listen to your mixes that you're making on Maschine, they're probably not as clean, as clear, as crisp as you want them to be. Especially when you sit down and you compare them to the mixes that you're used to listening to, whether that be the music that you listen to on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, from your favorite artists. Well, what if there was a way to get your mixes to sound more professional with just the click of a button and the twist of a knob? It would just take you a few seconds in order to instantly get a more professional sound. Well, there is a way to do that. Alright, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's called send channels, and they are an incredibly important method that you need to understand how to use on Maschine if you want to be able to take your mixes to the next level and get to those professional quality mixes. Alright, so I'm going to jump on over to Maschine, and I'm going to show you exactly how to utilize send channels to improve dramatically the quality of your mixes on Maschine. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, I want to make sure that we are on the same exact page. So let's talk about why send channels are important. Before we jump into the details of how to do it, I think it's really important that you understand what the purpose of this is, okay? So send channels, by far, are the easiest and quickest way for you to improve your mixes, like I said. But basically, this is what send channels do, and this is why it's completely different than mixing directly on top of your insert effect, okay? So this is what's essentially happening when you're using send channels. All right, let's look at this. This is going to represent your original track. Let's say you have a kick drum right here, and you route your sound through a send channel. This represents the send channel. So essentially what this is doing is it's creating two different sounds, two different routes. You have your original sound and your send channel sound. So it's creating two sounds and then layering them on top of each other, stacking them on top of each other. And the combination of these two sounds makes fatter, more full, more interesting mixes. And it's a much better way to mix your music, okay? So if you don't understand this right now, I'm going to dive into this and it'll make more sense. But I want you to understand essentially that if you threw, say this is a kick drum, if you threw, say, a reverb directly on top of this kick, it would apply right here. There would only be one instance of this sound. Whereas with send channels, instead of affecting and applying your reverb to the original audio signal, you're setting up a send channel and routing your sound through a reverb that would be set up here, and then smashing the two together to create a totally different sound, okay? And there are 5 reasons that I want to make sure that you understand why this is so important. Reason number 1 is that send channels prevent your CPU from overloading, okay? So you see here your CPU on Maschine. Send channels are going to make sure that you keep your CPU, in the right zone. You're not overloading your entire project by applying reverbs and, processor-intensive plugins everywhere within your mix, okay? It keeps everything sort of simple in your mix. 2, send channels create a more unified mix overall, okay? So instead of creating let's say a different reverb for my string group here, a different reverb for my drum group, and a different reverb for my electric piano group, I'm going to create a send channel that has one reverb, and I'm going to route all of my sounds through this exact same reverb. So it's going to create a sound as if all of these sounds are in the same virtual room, okay? And it makes it easier because if I want to make an adjustment to the overall reverb, I can do it in one location instead of having to go back and find all the individual places where I placed a reverb in the mix, okay? The third reason is it improves the overall quality of your mix. This is a professional technique. This is exactly what professional producers like professional engineers like Dave Pensado, all those guys are using these techniques, okay? Like I said earlier, it's going to improve your workflow. It makes it a lot simpler and a lot easier for you to utilize send channels. And the reason number 5 is that it allows you to be a little bit more creative with your effects chains. But rather than go on forever about all the details, I've decided to create a Maschine project. And I'm going to show you exactly how I would mix a typical beat on Maschine using send channels. We're going to set a send channel up. I'm going to set some individual sounds and send channels to route my sounds through, and then I'm going to route everything and mix everything using send channels and show you why it sounds so damn good, okay? This is so much better than using insert effects. If you have only used insert effects in the past, this is going to blow your mind. All right, so let's jump into it. How do you utilize send channels? It's pretty simple, but it can be confusing for people at times. Let's go ahead and label this. So what we're going to do first is we're going to jump into one of our groups. We're going to press the plus button to create an entirely new group and label it sends or send channel. All right. Okay. Step 1 done. You create an entirely new group dedicated to your send channels. Step number 2 is on the sound level. You're going to apply the different effects that you want to utilize in your beat. The most important one, in my opinion, is probably your reverb. All right. So you want a reverb send channel. You want a, let's try a chorus send channel. I would typically set up a New York compression, but that's a little too advanced. You'll have to watch the specific tutorial about New York compression to get there. I want a saturator send channel, specifically a tube saturator. All right, so we've got these 3 send channels. Typically, I would go very deep. I have a set of dedicated send channels, but I want to make sure that you understand the basics of it, okay? So we set up the send channel. We applied individual sounds to the send channel, okay? So we set up a reverb send channel by pressing that plus and throwing on a reverb. We set up a chorus and a saturator, and these are what I'm going to work with, okay? So the third step is to route our sounds through these send channels, through this aux channel, okay? The next step is start routing things, and that's what we're going to do now, okay? So let's go ahead and I'm going to play this beat for you, and then I'm going to show you exactly how I would route these sounds through my send channel in order to make this beat sound better. So let's do that. Okay, so I know off top that these drums, the entire group is going to need some reverb, and this electric piano group is probably going to need some metaverb or some reverb, and that's what I'm going to do first, all right? So I'm going to jump into the group level. Select this little button right here, go to output, select aux, and then select my send channels. As you see, the destination right here needs to be the reverb, and it's as simple as that. So let me walk you through it again. We want to set up a send channel for our entire drum group. That means every sound in these drum group is going to be routed through our send channel. We're going to create a duplicate path for these sounds. And I did that by selecting group, selecting this little button right here. I don't know the exact description of it. Selected output and then routed it through reverb. That's simple. And now our entire drum group is going to have a reverb applied to it. So now the step becomes making sure this reverb is dialed in correct. Okay, so we applied subtle reverb to both the drums and the electric piano. And as you can see, what I did, when you're applying reverb, you make sure to really test the reverb sound. A lot of times you can apply too much in certain situations and it can be overwhelming in your mix. You want to make sure that you you take it in and out to make sure that the levels are right. And then what we did was we went in and basically adjusted the reverb itself, all right? Made sure that the tone of the reverb is set up correctly. I threw up the mix all the way. We added some pre-delay, we added some diffusion, we turned down the room size and the reverb time and up the dampening a little bit to make sure that the tone of the reverb was right. And then we also just applied the reverb through the group, through the electric piano group, and then toned it down a little bit to get just a subtle reverb, all right? So you can also do some more creative things with as far as this reverb goes, you know, as far as synth channels go. I guess I don't have entirely time to show you the rest of this, how I'd mix the rest of this beat, just because we're getting up close to 10 minutes. But basically what I would do is go in a little bit further, and I'd probably route my drum group through the saturator that I created. Let me show you how to do that. And then I'd save this synth channel. So let's go ahead and do this really quickly. So the saturator on the drum group added a little bit more bottom end to that kick drum. It sounds really, really nice, you guys. So that's basically what I would do, all right, as far as mixing with synth channels. The next step, obviously, is to save this, all right? Because typically in a beat, I utilize the same exact synth channel effects for the majority of the projects that I work with. Oftentimes, once I get the reverb and all these different things dialed in, I'll definitely throw on more different synth channels on these individual sound levels. But I have a group of synth channels that I typically work with, and I access them basically every time I make a beat. So it's important that you save your synth channel group like so. Just right-click the group, press save as, and you'll have access to these exact same synth channels every time you make a beat. Makes your mixing workflow so much more quickly so that you don't have to do all this tuning every single time you jump in to make a beat. You can just throw in, press the plus button, control, open your synth channel group in your project, and you know you already have a solid, you know, starting point for your mixing, and all you gotta do is route the sounds through that point, all right? So that's the basics of synth channels, all right? So I know you just checked out this lesson and you're probably mind blown about the creative possibilities that you didn't realize that Maschine was capable of, and all these different techniques and strategies that I just showed you. Well, if you're at the point where you haven't mastered Maschine's creative workflow yet, if the creative juices as far as being able to make beats without having to think about what to do, you know, is not there for you yet, if beat making right now is starting to feel like a chore because you're spending more time trying to figure out what to do on Maschine than you actually are able to spend time making good music, all right, then I need you to grab a copy right now of my new book. It's called Maschine, the Hip-Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual. Let me show you what's inside. We've got an entire section, probably 40 pages, developed to or devoted to teaching you advanced mixing concepts in Maschine, teaching you how to use compressors, how to utilize equalizers in your beats, exactly the parameters to dial in the right settings to creatively improve your mixes. Okay, so this is quality information. Inside you're going to learn everything that you need to know to make album quality beats on Maschine without ever having to set foot in one of those expensive recording studios, without having to own Pro Tools or even expensive studio monitors. There are a ton of techniques just like the ones I showed you to improve your sound, to get dramatically better results on your Maschine, okay? So hurry up, click the link below in the description and claim your copy of this book today for just $1. I am not kidding you. This is not, you know, there's no strings attached to this. This is literally $1. The sale is going to be over soon, though, and you're going to have to pay the full $47 retail price of this book if you do not take action soon. I can't promise you that this deal will forever be on the table just because, you know, actually the price is pretty low. So you're going to click the link below. You're going to land upon a page that looks like this, and you're going to click here now to get your book. Actually, on this page, there's much more information about what's contained inside of the actual book. You know, you could educate yourself about everything that's going on. And you're going to land up on a page like this. It's literally $1. And enter in your contact information and then press the complete my order button at the bottom. And you're going to be up and running with your copy of this book in no time. All right. So I know that you don't realize this right now, but there's so much information in here waiting for you to improve your sound upon Maschine. You'd be foolish not to take advantage of this and grab an 89-page guide filled to the brim with excellent information on Maschine. And go ahead and grab your copy now. Again, my name is Rob. I'm the creator of this book, the author of HipHopRally.com, the creator of Maschine, the Hip Hop Beatmaker's Missing Manual. I'm glad you stuck with me so far. Subscribe below for a bunch more free educational content on Maschine to up your game as far as improving your sound on Maschine, learning more free, awesome techniques to improve your technique, all right? So subscribe below. Click the link in the description and grab your copy of this book as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you as a member of this community and to see you listen to further videos, all right? So talk to you later. Peace.